What's crack-a-lackin', everybody? Money Smart Guy Matt Sapaula here. Hailing to you from Dallas, Texas, and welcome back to another episode of the Seven Figure Squad podcast. In studio, joining me is Milton Alvarez. It's been a week, man. I haven't seen you in a minute.
How was duck hunting?
Where's
my duck?
Aflac. Well, I got a duck. It's marinating on orange juice and soy sauce at this very moment, and come by the house. We'll cook it and fry it in a pan.
Never had duck
rare.
in my life, but I'm down.
That's right. So for those who don't know what he was talking about, I went duck hunting this last Monday here in Texas. I'm fishing a Texan.
Yeah.
And I got a hunter's license. I got a fishing license. I got duck stamps. And I got my first citation by the Texas game warden for not having my hunter's education completed. So I have 90 days to complete it, or else I pay a hefty fine to the state of Texas. So
Going to Texas, baby.
go figure. We actually took a picture with the game warden. We took a picture with the game warden and said, "Hey, man, it was a very special moment for us. Thanks for allowing us to hunt, but at the same time, we know we screwed up. My bad." Actually, Jordan, can you show my screen? There it is. We took a picture with the game warden. Our tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did well, man. This is we got 14 ducks there, and we got one very rare one. There's a canvas back. It's called a canvas back duck. Very rare.
What about it makes it rare?
There's not very many of them around, and the meat's apparently pretty good.
Careful now, you're gonna have those people who what is it PETA? The people who take care of animals who protest people hunting extinct and endangered animals.
Yeah,
Wow,
so we're slicing up the duck meat right here. If you can see that, but delicious. We had one with duck fat to the top, and the other one without duck fat. So this in certain restaurants, man, this is like $1,000. This is video's not coming down, but I was slicing and dicing, man.
You ain't sliced and diced anything. You thumbed the living hell out of that duck. This man thumbed the duck open. Look at this. Look at this shit. Oh my God, man.
It's because
this man thumbed his.
Split the skin,
bro. That's wild.
Split that skin open.
This man has no compassion.
Look at it. Look at that duck breast meat right there.
To all the vegans and vegetarians watching this, we are very sorry. I had no idea this was going to be the video that's being shown today.
Certain restaurants in New York, man, you're paying $1,000 for what I'm just slicing right there, man.
$1,000 for duck?
For duck breast, yeah. For duck breast, yeah. So, anywho, joining us in the studio today, not to be rude, would you care to introduce our special guest in the studio today?
100%. And it's actually an honor to introduce her. You've lived a pretty interesting life, and from what we've spoken about these last 24, 48 hours, you've faced some adversity. And I think anyone who has a story to tell about where they came from and where they're at today is definitely someone worthy of getting this kind of platform to get exposure. Facing near-death amputation and death during an emergency surgery where you had to figure out and relearn how to walk, how to run, and how to jump is something that a lot of people can't face, because you were supposed to get your leg actually amputated. But thanks to God and basically a miracle, you're here and you're actually a straight collegiate athlete, which moves on to the next thing about you is you're a Hyrox athlete. And Jordan, if we can pull up that video of her competing, that'd be pretty cool.
You're strong, and you've been through so much.
Hyrox, Hyrox.
And you have come through and fought through all those fires. Baby, you can do this. You got it. You got what it takes inside your heart. God made you the most incredible, beautiful, amazing woman and daughter that I will ever be so honored to have in my life. I'm there, right there on the sideline for you, baby, and I love you more than life itself. You stay strong, you focus, because you've already won the race. You've already been through this race so much in your life. You've already won. God made you a winner. I love you, and I will always be here for you. So you focus and go shine bright, my baby. Go shine bright.
So
who's the voiceover?
That's my mom.
That explains why it is so powerful.
Yeah.
So to back that up, Matt, she's competed in 7 races, qualified for World Championship last year, which was in Vegas, and you've been able to complete 2 half marathons after the adversity you faced. And that was actually the question I was going to ask you. Whose voice is that? Yeah, because the moment we started watching this video, I started noticing they started getting emotional. So maybe this is a good time to actually introduce you. Shelly Reynolds, welcome to the podcast.
Awesome, Shelly.
Thank
How
you guys
doing?
for having me. I'm great. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so proud of you. Hyrox, is that Hyrox? Educate me. I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is CrossFit. Is Hyrox a competitive? competitor
It's
to
similar
CrossFit?
to CrossFit.
Okay.
It would be like if CrossFit and Spartan had a baby together.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of running, interval
Okay.
runs mixed with 8 different
Like obstacles?
exercise movements.
Oh,
Not
exercise.
necessarily obstacles, things you do in the gym already, like sled push, ski
Got
erg,
it.
row machine, things like that.
So basically exercise and movements that if someone who gets intimidated by CrossFit or people who are extremely limited on the range of motion, they're able to do the specific kind of competition.
Absolutely.
That'd be me.
Yeah.
That would be me. That'd be me.
It was actually designed for that purpose, to be an all-inclusive race that is a race for everybody.
Yeah. Because
There's
CrossFit,
different-
you know, I can't. If he told me to do the what do you call that thing?
What is the overhead snatches?
Overhead snatch.
I don't even know how to do those.
Yeah, forget about it. You know, I've messed up my shoulders.
man-
Yeah,
broad
no.
shoulders.
Yeah, no, it's all safe movements that you probably already do in your natural workouts. The hardest part is just it's in combination with running, and the running total is about 5 miles.
Yeah,
So-
that's probably where everybody take over. I'm a 100-yard dash type of guy, man.
One time, that's it. We're done. And also, last thing that I want to point out, since this is also speaking to a lot of entrepreneurs and business people, you're one of the few select people who were selected for what is it? Was it a competition in Dallas? Where 500 applicants signed up for this small business competition, where out of 500, only 100 minority-owned businesses were picked by the MAVS Business Assistance Program that Mark Cuban is running. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the MAVS Business Assist Program is designed to help minority entrepreneurs in Dallas specifically. It's a year program where they give us tools and information to take our business from wherever we're at and take it to the next level.
Nice.
And throughout the year, there are workshops and events that we attend where we can network and meet people in our community. And then there is a pitch competition where they're actually going to give away $35,000 to whoever
Nice.
they choose. So,
Love it. So you get ready for your pitch.
yeah, I'm working on it.
Good. By the way, that was my work in the late 2000s or early 2010, 11, 12. I was part of the Milton Alvarez business planning competition in Chicago, where Milton Alvarez was a sponsor of it, and I worked with another shark. His name is Damon John.
Wow.
So actually, Jordan, if you wouldn't mind going on my screen. So a lot of us, we pitched. I was helping a lot of veterans prepare their pitch to transition from the military. So this is part of my work. This is 2018, but this is a lot of the guys going through that competition. This is a no joke competition because you are competing with a lot of other people, and if you don't catch the investors, basically the shark or the investor, the
Right.
venture capitalist, on what your product or service is all about, just like you see in a show, you lose their attention, they're moving on to the next person. So
Right.
how have you found your ability to go from athlete to pitching your idea? Because it's it's easier to push around a sled than try to catch the attention of somebody and hopefully get them to invest 35 grand in you.
Right. Well, for me, my purpose is, it comes from what I went through with the compartment syndrome.
Jordan.
I know I was given another chance, and I meet people who may be in a space where they don't believe in themselves, or they already put a self-limiting belief in their head that physically they're not able to do something. So going down the path of being a fitness professional, I understand what I went through, I can use to motivate and inspire and lead people to understand you can actually do it if you believe you can. And so when I coach clients, I coach them from a mental aspect, a spiritual aspect, and not just physical. So that way you align your full potential. And most coaches, they're very hard and yell at the client while they're training. I am not
Right.
that way. I'm very warm and nurturing.
My trainer gives me the thumbs up all the time. Inside joke. Inside joke. Really inside joke.
Literally, all the way inside.
That's so funny. Oh my goodness. But I believe that that's what sets me apart as a fitness professional. And when I talk about what I do, I try to tie it into my why and the miracle of me being able to run, doing Hyrox.
Tell us about that. Take us back. What happened?
So I was an athlete from the age of 4, pretty much. I already told my mom, I was like, I want to be an Olympian. I want to compete at the highest level.
What was your sport?
Soccer.
Okay.
Yeah. So with soccer, I always was running. I did cross country. I did track. I even did powerlifting. I was one of the first females in my high school to do that. We didn't even have a female team. I just wanted to try everything to be the best, pretty much. But because of that, and my mom, I was raised by a single mom, so she worked 4 jobs. She wasn't home that much to cook.
Did you have siblings?
I did.
Yeah.
There's a huge age gap. They're 10 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to just kind of eat fast food all the time and trying to strive to be
Processed food.
right. To strive to be the athlete that I wanted to be. You can't really eat like that.
No.
So in high school, my body just started to develop an overuse injury, which is what compartment syndrome is. You can have chronic, which is what I had for a few years. And
Compartment syndrome?
yes. I kicked a soccer ball one evening, and the chronic compartment syndrome changed to acute compartment syndrome. 2 days later, I was in a hospital, and I was being told I was probably going to have my leg amputated.
Wow.
So I went into surgery thinking that I was going to wake up with an amputated leg. But during that, I flatlined on the table. So they did something called...
What?
Yeah, they did something...
From your legs?
Yes. They did something called a fasciotomy, which is where, for compartment syndrome, they release the fascia to help the pressure come off the leg. But during that is when whatever happened in my leg, just my body was too weak to handle it. So they didn't get to the amputation. They had planned to. My muscles were gray and dark and just non-functioning.
Wow.
So anyway, I woke up from surgery and I looked at my leg and I literally passed out when I saw it. Because one, I thought I wasn't going to be there and I still saw it. So I was a little confused of like, wait, my leg is still here. But the surgeon a few days later saw like a little pink dot at the bottom. And so that means like the muscle was kind of reviving itself.
Got you. The blood flow was thrown, right?
Right. So he was like, let's push the amputation back because they were still going to do it. I had no function in the leg. Days kept passing and the muscle kept getting more pink, and they kept trying to make me squeeze my toes like Kobe Bryant, you know, when he had to when he tore his Achilles and he had to pick up the marbles with the toes. They were trying to make me do that, but I had no nerve function, so I couldn't use it. But yeah, after that, I was in a wheelchair for a little bit, had to learn how to walk again, and I think it was about 6 months later. I was a junior in high school at that time.
Sheesh.
So I had college teams scouting me for soccer, and I thought I was going to go to Midwestern State University and play. And after that happened, just all those dreams were kind of ripped from me. So my senior year in high school, I was just determined to still play sports, not at the level that I was at, but I was very stubborn. The doctors were like, you shouldn't do that. You're going to cause damage. You're going to cause issues. But I was like, I'll just deal with it. It can't be as bad as it is now, right? But I think because of that, I never stopped. And nutrition, I realized had I had been eating correctly, this probably wouldn't have happened if I was
Jordan, I want to take a look at my
body.
screen real quick. I just Googled compartment syndrome. I wonder if this is what it looked like.
Yeah.
Is that lower leg?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I would
that-
say that those are probably, the top right. That's pretty much what my scar looks like.
Wow.
Yours is a little bit bigger, isn't it?
It's bigger,
Yours is
yeah.
a little bit bigger.
So I think Deion Sanders had something like this.
Oh.
Yeah, because he had lack of blood flow to his toes. That's why they amputated. So this compartment syndrome it says becomes elevated fasciotomy as a treatment for compartment syndrome on this area. So it's pretty interesting here on what that looks like. So it's the most often affects the muscle in the lower legs and forearms. It's I was trying to get a definition of it, but I may have gotten ahead of myself. Compartment syndrome. Here it is. Increase in pressure inside a muscle, which restricts blood flow and causes pain. Wow.
So massive amount.
I thought you got into an accident or something.
No,
but
most
there's an
people
internal.
think that.
Yeah.
And they're always shocked when I tell them, I'm like, no, kick the soccer
So
ball
what
when
is
you...
it? What is that? Just overusage?
Yeah,
Overstrain
so
on a muscle?
when you have chronic, it feels similar to shin splints. It's like a tingling, kind of like, oh, my shin aches and it feels a little uncomfortable. And if you rest, it might go away and then you can run again and you feel fine. But chronic over time, if you don't take care of it or if you don't fix the issue, with me, it was improper nutrition and just working too hard and not fueling my body for the work.
Were you
that I was
diagnosed
doing.
before?
No.
Okay.
So they actually, I grew up in a very tiny country town, a small hospital. I went and checked it out, and they pretty much told me, oh, you're an athlete. Just take some Tylenol and elevate your leg and rest.
Fix all for everything. Motrin for the military.
Yeah, they had no idea about compartment syndrome. So that with, the improper diagnosis, and then me being a stubborn young athlete who wanted to be in the Olympics and not willing to rest, it was a recipe for it to develop into the acute compartment syndrome, which is where you have to have that surgery.
Yeah.
Wow. So your relationship status, you married, single?
I am not married. I am in a relationship.
Okay.
We've been together for 2 years now.
Good. How'd you guys meet?
It's kind of funny. We actually met on Instagram in like 20...
Somebody slipped in your DMs, huh?
Yes, he did. In 2019.
Okay, so how is that, though? I mean, there's a lot of DMs that go in somebody's message. What separated his DM versus the rest?
Well, so he followed me in 2019. We're in similar fields. We both worked at Equinox, so we knew similar people. Okay. And I was always a little intrigued by him just because of the knowledge he posted on social media. I was in a relationship with someone else at the time. And we would have casual conversations. He wasn't the type of man that would like come in my messages like super direct and flirting.
What up, boo?
Right. No.
Were you friends before?
No. So
You weren't friends before dating?
Oh, no. Okay. So we were like internet friends, right? We would talk about like,
but never physically met.
No.
Okay.
Once I got out of my relationship, I started to respond a little more flirtatious, and he was like, 2 things need to happen. I need to take you on a date, and we need to work out. So that's how it started.
Do you think men and women can have friends that are of the opposite sex?
Absolutely. His best friend is a female. My best friend is a male.
Go ahead,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I got my thoughts on this. I don't. By the way, I respect that. I just don't think long term it plays out.
Yeah.
I'm 50 years old now, and I've seen this happen over and over and over again. Guys and gals are just in the friend zone. In the meantime, listen, I'm always open to be proven wrong. Yeah. But it's just been my history, my personal experience and observation of many, many, many relationships. I've been around this block many times. So
okay, so let me ask you a question revolving that. Have you always been okay with that? Or is it just something about him and his relationship with that woman that made you feel comfortable? You're like, you know what? I'm not intimidated by this woman, or whatever thought came to mind.
Well, my best friend is literally from high school. We've known each other since like 13.
Guy best friend.
14, yes. 13, 14 years
And
old.
you're telling me not once throughout these entire years that you've known this guy and your life, so you gotta
Yeah.
Not once has this man.
Not one
flirted with
kiss
you,
on the cheek.
Not one kiss on the cheek.
Not one kiss on your hand.
Held your hand, escorted you from the arm, took you on a date, tried taking you on. Not once.
So, yes.
See? See?
Oh, man.
But hear me out.
Shelly, this is not hearing you out.
That's what I'm talking about.
Bro, you gotta check your girl, bro. If you're watching this podcast.
Hear me out.
That's why.
Oh, bro.
Boundaries, though.
Ka-ching.
I think it's okay to voice if you're interested in somebody. I think after that, if you say boundaries like I'm not interested or I'm unwilling or whatever it might be, after that, depending on how that person moves, then that says more about it to me than anything. He's never crossed a boundary after, like, I told him I wasn't really interested in that. So
reverse the roles. Your boyfriend and his female best friend.
It's like an ongoing debate on this podcast.
She did the same thing with him, and she's like, I'm interested in you, or tried to date him at any point in time. At this day, would you still be okay having that knowledge? Would you still be okay knowing that they're still intimately best friends and they communicate on a daily basis, knowing that she had interest and potentially still has interest, but doesn't say anything because he set up a boundary?
Yeah.
You'll still be okay with that?
I would. And I actually have met her and spent time with both of them together, and she's become my friend as well. So I think if the dynamic was like she was a stranger to me and she wasn't willing to talk to me and know me and wouldn't recognize me as his girlfriend, then that is a whole different thing. So
I think I've just been stabbed in the back too much. So so in high school, I had a high school sweetheart. I had a high school sweetheart. Thought she was the one. I was in love. This is the girl that I waste my $120 Jewel Osco paychecks on a weekly basis. I would work 12 hours at a grocery store. Here it's Albertsons or Tum Tum, similar to that, but in the Midwest. Oh, you're from Minnesota, so I'm not sure if they have Jewel Osco in Minnesota. Anyways, I had a best friend, and I thought he was like my best friend. My parents never let me do sleepovers, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
He's the first guy friend that at age 17, they will let me sleep over and vice versa. His family knew my family, and we would just interact consistently. And he was one of those best friends where whenever her and I would have issues, I'm like, bro, can you do me a favor, just go pick her up? Can you make sure she's good? Or she'd be like, hey, I'm with so-and-so. All right, cool. I wouldn't care. I'll meet up with you guys after I get out of work, or I was in college during the time as well. I'll meet up with you guys after I get out of school. So I didn't think anything of it because he's my best friend. Why would he stab me in the back? She's my girlfriend. Why would she stab me in the back? Right? There's trust. There's mutual trust. I knew him. She knew him. We all knew each other. We would always hang out as a group. Prior to that, he had a girlfriend. They ended up breaking up. We were both there for him when he went through that breakup. So we both, consoled him. Fast forward. Her and I start having issues. I have my issues. I messed up. She messed up. So we end up going our separate ways. In the midst of that, he was quote unquote there for me, where he will show up, see how I'm doing. He saw me through all my immature BS. So he was there for me being a good friend. But at the same time, he was there for her. So fast forward months later, or maybe up to a year later, I see them at church, and on Facebook,
at church,
on Facebook. I see, how back, a couple years ago, like if you don't make it Facebook official, it's not official.
Yeah.
This was a couple years ago. So about a decade ago or more. Not a decade ago or more. I see that he posts on social media that he's officially in a relationship. So I'm excited for him. I go to church, I see him, he's with her. But I'm thinking like, okay, they just show up to church together. Not a big deal to me. I'm thinking she's bringing him to church. He needs God. Good. Yeah. So I go up to him after church. I'm like, bro, congratulations. I heard you have a girlfriend. I saw it on Facebook that it's official. What's the lucky girl's name? And he's like, do you really want to know? And I'm like, of course I want to know. I want to know who's dating my guy.
Oh my goodness.
And then he says her name, the girl's name. And I'm like, wait, that's coincidental because my ex's name is that name. And he's like, yeah, exactly. That it's
Yikes.
her. And he points at her. And then I look back, I look past him, I look at him, I look at her. I'm like, bro, I wish you the freaking best. And I'll go up to her, I'm like, I really hope you're happy and I really hope this works out for you guys. And the crazy thing is, at the end of that, I was still willing to be his friend because I get it. We moved on. We were already broken up. He didn't do it. In my mind, I'm like, what? I could still be his friend on some level. But he despised me. He hated me. And I'm going to assume because of the stories that she would tell him, and also keep it in the back of your head as a guy. If I know that my current girlfriend used to lay in bed with you, it's gonna make me uncomfortable. Yeah. So I've been in that position 2 times where buddies of mine, best friends, coworkers of mine, people that I've done business with. Once they see that I've pulled away from a specific woman, they jump in.
Oh my goodness.
So that's why for me, it's hard to really process the idea of a man and woman being good friends. So for example, for me, any relationship that I get into right now, any relationship, the woman knows, hey, look, I'm letting you know right now, I have a network of women that I'm involved with, whether it's business, personal, whatever the case may be. But the moment that I step into this relationship with you, I'm cutting all ties. There's no need for me to have female friends. Personally, there's no need. For what? I can have coworkers, I have acquaintances, but friendship where I keep in contact with you, we hang out, there's no need for that, out of respect.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, well,
maybe it's just trauma.
There's a lot of protocols even in our office, especially in today's day and age, that if I'm in the office with a woman, the door is open. There's nothing closed. If I'm field training somebody, it's got to be done out in the open. I don't pick up, we're going to go see a client, I meet them there. If they're members of the opposite sex, we don't go travel in the same car together or fly in the same together. If I even travel, this. Yeah. If I travel, I'm traveling with another guy, right? Because in this day and age, these friends, can say something and flip if it's financially advantageous later on. So if I'm traveling, there's another guy with me, and I've had many roommates. Right? Milton's been my roommate. I've had roommates because I took this from Billy Graham. He says when they travel in 3s, not 2s, 3s. Because one could say, hey, listen, man, we're out traveling right now, and we're in the church, man, but somebody in the church, let's have some little, extracurricular activities. Mm-hmm. So that one can flip the other. But 3, you can't flip each other. So there's just that protective circle that goes on. But listen, I tell people, live your life. But I just been around the block too many times to know that just a natural animalistic tension that's there between man and woman. It's hard to minimize because I'm just a guy of probabilities too. The probability of me the way I'm wired, I want to reduce that or eliminate that probability whatsoever. Not even a chance. To think that you're Jesus and that you're strong and I can fight through this. Oh man, I'm sorry. We're just human beings. So just another thought. But
speaking of that, okay, so now you've made it past that scared point, which you're married, you made it past, and right now you're walking towards that path of potentially be in a deeper relationship with him and engagement, marriage. We were talking about earlier, and she's like, "Yeah, I think he's the one." I'm like, "Cool, good for him." So if you're watching, bro, start saving some money for that ring. But good for you on that. So now, once you guys are in that situation, in your perspective, being married X amount of time, and in your perspective, being a woman, who do you guys think loses more in a marriage? Do you guys think women lose more in a marriage, or men have more to lose? But let's talk about that after this video, Jordan. If we can pull it up, women lose more than men in marriages.
Women have more to lose with marriage, to be honest, because once you get married, you step into a lot of roles as a wife. A husband is the provider, yeah, and he kind of keeps the family together. He's the lead of the family. But a wife, a woman automatically steps into a servant, a child care provider, a sexual partner whenever he wants to have sex, I don't know, a tutor for the kids, you helping the kids with their homework. Like, there's a lot of roles that women step into, a cook, a cleaner. Like, you get a lot of assistance from a wife.
Well, no. She said that women have more to lose by being married. Ma'am, do you understand that if me and you were married and you want to divorce me, if I didn't make your ass sign a prenup, you are entitled to half of everything I worked my whole life for? I got it. Ma'am, do you understand that if I marry you and you divorce me, that those children that we went 50-50 on are 95% of the time going to be granted to you, regardless if you can pay your bills or not? So you mean to tell me that you feel that because you had to cook, clean, fucking shut up, that you lose less than a man that's losing his family, his money, his children, and his fucking sanity when we break up because you wanted to goddamn go over here with goddamn Darius Jackson? If women have more to lose, then why do men pay alimony? If women have more to lose, then why do men, excuse me, ma'am, if men have more to lose, then why most of the time men gotta pay child support? If men have more to, hold on, ma'am, if men have more to lose, then why in the world is a judge cutting up the man's assets 50-50 if y'all have more to lose?
Because, sir, that's the whole premise. Because the wife is
You cooked, you cleaned, you fucked, you shut up, and now you're supposed to get a house? You know motherfucking old women that been cleaning up bitches' houses for years and ain't got the mansion.
Married man and female.
You went scorched freaking universe, not Earth. You went scorched universe on that one. Wow. So what do you? I mean, you're a guest today. What do you think? By the way, I've been divorced. I know the other side of that. It looks like.
Okay. Well, I've never been married, but I think of marriage as more of like a collaboration type thing.
Good. So do you think your relationship with your man right now, you guys get married, you have a lot to lose?
I don't think of it as a loss. When you come together to combine your gifts and your talents, what I might not have, he might, and what he might not have, I might have.
Agree.
So the collaboration of a marriage, like, you don't lose by becoming a woman that cooks for your man. That's part of a marriage and the collaboration of being a partner with
And
somebody.
same thing with the man.
Right.
You know, he doesn't lose much of his salary because he's supposed to provide for his wife and family.
Absolutely. So, and I think with the whole financial part of it all, like, a man is supposed to be a provider and a leader, but only if the man sees that that's what he wants to be in a marriage. So I think it's important for both the woman and the man to understand what role do you even want to have with your partner. And if that's not something you want to do, then that's probably not the person you should marry.
Would there be a shift in level of respect for the man that you marry between him saying, "Hey, babe, I'm going to take care of all the finances, and financially, I'm going to make sure that we're safe," versus a man who says, "Hey, babe, we need to go 50-50 on everything we do"? Is there a shift on level of respect in the way you pursue this man?
For me personally, I can't see myself not working. So I'm okay with my partner saying, like, we can go 50-50 if I'm able to do that. And if he's in a space where he doesn't want to go 50-50 and will allow me still to work, then I'm okay with that. Respect-wise, I think for a woman who gets into a marriage and decides, like, I don't want to work, I don't want to have to do that, I think she would lose respect for a man that says, like, we have to be 50-50 on bills and things. I think that's just that alignment of your beliefs and your values and things like that. So
To each their own, basically, is what she's saying.
Well, you know, listen, Scripture says that one can set flight to 1,000, but two can set flight to 10,000. It's exponential math. So when you are out there looking for the right relationship, do you feel that you're emotionally, spiritually, financially being elevated to the next level? Sometimes people get together for relationships of convenience. Like, I'm going to get together with somebody because we can save money on rent. We can save money on gas. We can save money on da-da-da. By the way, that's how I got married, my first one. That was a relationship, my marriage of convenience. Regrettably, the worst scenario that I can find myself in, because now the expectations are high versus now 14 years later. So since I got married, divorced, it was 14 years. When I waited until I found my now wife, I was able to prepare myself, provide, protect. So was my my girlfriend at the time, fiance, now wife, Sheena, she was able to provide for herself too as well. We come together. I promise you this: if I ask my wife right now, hey babe, did you lose marrying me? The house we live in, the life we live, the trips we take, the money we've saved, the companies we invest in, more importantly, the family that we're building, the more of a tool that God can use us for building His kingdom. I'll tell you this, my wife and I have not lost anything from getting married. Actually, it's been quite the opposite. So that's my encouragement. Anybody's getting out there today. I'm a big fan of marriages. I'm a big fan of the right people having kids. I don't think the right people having kids, they're not making enough of them. So, sometimes the wrong people have too many kids, versus the right people having kids, so it's, we need to shift that around. So speaking of that, you have to make sure you also pick the right spouse. And if you are in a situation of anger, have you been in an argument with your man?
Yeah,
of course, right?
I wouldn't consider it an argument. To me, an argument is like you're raising your voice and maybe saying disrespectful things to each other. I think a disagreement, yes, we've met each other and we're both very confident in ourselves and kind of stern on certain things. And so, we've had tough conversations and sometimes it gets difficult, and it's about listening to each other and understanding the person too, because if you don't know who you're talking to or how to talk to them, that can you go left field, and the whole focus of what you're even talking about is not even what you end up.
Because here's what happens when you pick wrong. Because you think you know a lot about somebody when you date them. You think you know a lot more about somebody when you marry them. You really know a lot about somebody when you start having kids with them. That's where the deep feelings of childhood trauma come up when you're trying to do your job being a parent, the things that you grew up watching and observing and how you treat each other, and you subconsciously default back into the mechanisms that you grew up with. So let's take a look at this. I want to warn you, this is, pretty disturbing, but this is a couple arguing in a car, and this is what happens. And then she chases after him to continue the argument instead of watching out for the kid in the middle of stinking traffic. What is wrong with you? And people in other cars have to watch out for the kid. Like, dude.
Wow.
That's some crazy shit. Now, I've been in arguments where I felt doing that very same thing. I understand what that emotion is all about. But to yank her out in the middle of traffic with her hanging on to the kid. And then what's worse is she gets up, she continues the argument without watching out for the kid. Thoughts?
Well, he and I both come from a past relationship that was very aggressive and very abusive. So I could never, if I'm not a mom, however, he has a son, and he has shared stories of her being abusive towards him while the kid has been in the car. So almost a similar situation. However, he's not the one yanking her out of the car.
Wow.
She was the one putting him in danger as well as the kid on the road.
Yeah. This gonna happen twice. Yeah.
Yeah. So the child needs to be protected first, regardless of what is going on between the relationship. And I think people have children together and forget about the purpose of taking care. You're a parent now. You forget that the purpose is the child. If you have a lot of hatred and a lot of pain between each other, and then you have a kid together, that just seeps into the child's development, and that's really scary to see. And that happens a lot. So when I'm looking at these type of situations here, we all get into deep anger, frustration, resentment, unforgiveness, and all these things start building up. But to act like that, and I can't say I'm not guilty of having a temper or not being angry at times, but to be able to yank your wife and child together out of the car and throw them on the street like that, that's just unnecessary. And thank God for concerned people around that were able to be there for the kid. And make sure the kid doesn't run off. Toddlers like that, 2 years old, 1 year old, 3 years old, they're running around.
To have that child just be able to stay there and cry. Thank goodness the child wasn't running around, because my 4-year-old, he would have taken off. It takes off for anything. And so that's why you really have to be thoughtful and careful of who you decide to date, who you decide to marry, who you decide to have kids with. And you have these conversations well in advance. And if you have to pull the plug on a relationship, whatever the case may be, do so. I'd rather you do that than be the next video we're talking about here on this podcast. Not in a good example, but a horrible example. So speaking of anger and unforgiveness, this is another video here of how anger and unforgiveness affects your health. Let's take a look at this clip.
Did you know unforgiveness can make you sick? According to research by doctors at Johns Hopkins, there is an enormous physical burden to holding on to anger. Chronic anger and unforgiveness put you into a fight or flight mode, which results in numerous changes in heart rate, blood pressure, and immune response. Those changes then increase the risk of depression, heart disease, and diabetes, among other conditions. Forgiveness, however, calms stress levels, leading to improved health.
Wow. USA. What's your thoughts on this?
Sorry, man.
You're triggered on that last video, huh? Still recovering from it.
The last video really brought back a lot of memories from my childhood. So right now I'm just trying to get back in the zone.
Shit.
So as far as this specific video, we're good, man. We're good.
Proud of you, man.
This is one of the reasons why a lot of people have such a hard time trusting people, getting into relationships with people, because they don't know how to let go. And I think some of the things that people have a hard time with, at least I can speak for myself, is where do you draw the line between forgiving somebody, and just being so scared of making the wrong move next? I get it, trusting in God. But at the same time, as a person, as a human being, there's certain decisions that you need to be able to make and trust that you're being guided down the right path. And then there's people who, like myself, I can forgive you and I can forget about it and move on from it. But then at the same time, I need to guard my heart, my mind, myself as a whole. And I'm the field of recognizing patterns. So if there's a pattern that's consistently happening in a relationship or in a friendship or in any kind of partnership, when you being in the business that you've been in for so many years, and you being a woman, or just in general, right, perspectives right now, when do you say enough is enough? Because you can forgive, because it's going to help you heal from things. But when you're married or you're in a relationship or a partnership that involves longevity, that involves long-term commitment, how do you know when to draw the line and say, I'm done? Like, I'm done. You've crossed my non-negotiable. I'm completely done.
Well, I think it's simple as that. Here's my non-negotiable. I'm not crossing it. And if I cross it, then I can't trust myself. Because what happens if you draw a line and you allow it to be crossed, then you have inconsistency going on in your life. You get inconsistent thinking, you have inconsistent thoughts, you have inconsistent actions, because you kept drawing that line and you kept crossing it, and you can't even trust yourself. You have no integrity with that line. And so when I refused, like there's some things that you have it's negotiable. Okay, I get it. You keep crossing this line, but there's certain lines. Like, for example, Sheena, if I ever cheat on her, that's a non-negotiable. 100% divorce me, 100%, and I can't even blame you for that, and vice versa. Those type of things, hitting each other, any type of physical, that's a non-negotiable. We do not lay hands on each other, no matter how hard it gets. That's a non-negotiable. So. So this, does she disrespect me at times? Of course. Do I disrespect her at times? Of course. That's where anger and forgiveness comes in. But do we cheat on each other? Do we steal from each other? Steal each other's, trust? Do we cross that line of the non-negotiables? No, it's a non-negotiable. At least we respect each other. If we disrespect each other in an argument, at least we respect each other, not to cross the non-negotiables.
And then on a physiological standpoint, something that we work on, a lot of people who come to me for massage or for training, one thing that I realized, a lot of them hold on to people who are holding on to a lot of anger have and carry a lot of stress in specific areas of their bodies, their shoulders, their hips, their lower backs. And a lot of times that's causing pain, physiological pain, which then also causes psychological pain. And when you're consistently walking around in pain and you're consistently walking around uncomfortable within your own body, your energy's going to be off. The way you treat people is going to be completely off. And the way you carry yourself and the way you treat yourself is going to be off. And also one thing that I've noticed amongst people who are holding on to a lot of resentment, anger, and bitterness and aren't forgiving, their digestive system is also off. When they eat and they consume the foods, their stomach doesn't settle correctly. They're not able to digest the food and absorb the nutrients. It goes right through them. So there's a lot of things there's a lot that unforgiveness, resentment, anger, bitterness can actually affect besides the emotional point. It's also physiological. Then, your physiological gets affected. Then every other external factor of your life also gets affected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My favorite quote about forgiveness comes from Nelson Mandela. If you guys don't know who Nelson Mandela was, he's the guy that stood up against apartheid, was imprisoned in South Africa for 27 years. But his quote says this: "Forgiveness liberates the soul. It removes fear. That's why it's such a powerful weapon." Think about how much if we invoke forgiveness into our lives. I mean, think about where America's at right now, the wrongs and areas of anger and frustration we have towards one another. And instead, unresolved unforgiveness focuses on the differences we have with each other versus celebrating the similarities we all have. One of the greatest thing about our business and the greatest thing about, which I observed here in Dallas, is that a lot of people can be of different ethnic backgrounds and different races, black, white, brown, Asian, Mexican. But for the most part, compared to what I was raised up in Chicago, at least here in Dallas, because there's more injection of faith per capita here around I would call this the Bible Beltline. There's churches, and it seems like church is still a very active part of the community here in Dallas as compared to Chicago. I see a lot of those differences not being something that divides people, where unforgiveness and anger as a result of keeping people separate. But the unforgiveness brings people together. And as we're in relationships, whether personal, business, there's many people that cross me in business, that stab me in the back. Shelly, how about people that owe you money? Right? And they're never going to pay you back.
Yeah.
You got to be able to say, hey, I forgive you. And from here going forward, you don't owe me crap. I'd just rather keep the relationship and the friendship. But at the same time, too, you cross the line. I can never trust you again with money, but doesn't mean I can't still be your friend.
Right.
Right? So what's your thoughts on that?
Forgiveness to me is like, I'm going to use a personal example of myself. Growing up, my mom was an addict and an alcoholic, and that created a lot of pain and a lot of resentment in me as I was growing up, and I had to learn how to forgive her. Yeah. And without that, I would not be the type of woman I am today. I would be a very bitter and angry woman and unable to work with people. And now her and I's relationship, she's completely clean because I think I was able to forgive her.
Amen.
I think she would have slipped worse and potentially not even be here on this earth had I not been able to forgive her through that. I think you have to find grace with the person. And for yourself, what you were saying, a repeated pattern, even if you forgive somebody again and again and they continue to do that, you almost disrespect yourself if you continue to allow that person to do that same thing to you again and again. Sure. And you can forgive somebody without accepting what they're doing to you. You can say, I forgive you, but I don't accept how you are. And just kind of remove yourself from whatever that situation may be. And I also think a certain situation, if you don't forgive that person, that whole pain, what you're saying, you feel it in your body, you create pain within your joints. It also seeps into your relationships with other people.
100%.
You start to try to connect the dots of, oh, this person's doing this that's similar to what this person did to me. Even if that person may not even be doing that thing, but it feels similar and it creates a trauma response into you. Then you start to resent this person for something that they didn't even do, but it's tied to something someone else did to you in the past. So I think forgiveness, it seeps into all areas of your life. And if you don't have a heart for people and try to forgive them for faults that they may not even know that they have done, it creates a lot more of a problem within yourself. So
That's right. That's right. And lots of times people think that this one area can solve everybody's problem. Money. Money can solve people's problems. So let's talk about that baseball player, Ohtani, the Japanese baseball player playing here in the Major League Baseball in America. And he just signed a $700 million contract over 10 years. Jordan, if we could take a look at this. So he just signed a $700 million contract, formerly of the Anaheim Angels, but now he's playing for the LA Dodgers. The Japanese star record deal with the Dodgers is an unprecedented structure, which will see him defer $68 million per season until the end of his contract. Interesting. So he signs a contract to pay $70 million a year. Now, we've done this podcast before. We've unpacked an NFL player's salary and what he takes home after taxes. Mm-hmm. So here he's saying, listen, pay me $70 million a year for 10 years. Which, by the way, I think LeBron James' earnings of career for 20 plus years is a little over $580 million, LeBron James. Mm-hmm. So this guy in 10 years is going to get paid more than LeBron's entire 20-year career in the NBA. So, by the way, word to the parents out there, if the outcome of your child is to make money playing sports, take off the helmet, take off the shoulder pads, throw away the basketball and pick up a bat, baseball, and a glove and play baseball. But it's amazing how baseball players are still getting paid this much money. So here's the deal, though. Ohtani will take home just $2 million per season over a 10-year span, which was made official. In an unprecedented structure, he's going to defer $68 million per season until the end of his contract, meaning the Dodgers will pay him $680 million between 2034 and 2043. By the time Ohtani receives his final paycheck from the team, as a formerly active player, he'll be 49 years old, which is smart. Why do you think they're doing that? Let me give you a hint. He plays in California.
Taxes.
Exactly.
Taxes.
Exactly. So federal taxes, he's at the top bracket. Yeah. And if you make over $1 million in income in California, you're at tax another 13.6%. So literally half of the money, if you're a millionaire in California, half the money you make it in California is whacked in taxes. So here it says, just pay me $2 million, which probably will be almost $1 million a year in taxes.
Yeah.
From this $2 million. But he's smart. He's saying defer it. So the massive deferrals are Ohtani's idea. Good job having the right counselors around him. This is what happens when you have the right people around you. Check this out, though. It allows them to spread around a lot more bread, so therefore they can still bring players around. So the salary is not just on just one player. He's going to defer me until later on, but it's not an unheard of thing. Starting pitcher Max Scherzer deferred $210 million of the contract with the Washington Nationals in 2015. That being said, also in 210 MLB players will be making more than Ohtani's $2 million base salary. So will some 40 NBA players, 752 NFL players, and 87 players on the PGA Tour are going to be making more money than him. Somehow Ken Griffey Jr., who's done playing baseball, who retired in 2010, will earn more next season than baseball's highest player. Why? Because he's deferring his salary. He makes roughly $45 million per season in endorsement money. On top of that, this guy's getting paid $100 million a year to play baseball, which now he's deferring. So no, he's living off his endorsement money. Yeah. Now, endorsement money, he's paid as a independent contractor or he's paid through his corporation. But as a baseball player, paid as an employee. So this is an amazing example of tax planning. It's an amazing example of deferred gratification, delayed spending, and that's the problem with a lot of people today. They make $2 million a year, they spend 2.5. Or they make $20,000 a year and they spend $30,000. They make $100,000 a year, they spend $150. What this guy is doing is say, listen, I'm fine with my endorsement money. I'm fine with $2 million from MLB, but defer $68 million, which not we be earning interest. But think about that, though. 10 years from now, when he's done playing, he's still getting paid $68 million a year.
So his contract's over. That means, hey, yo, thanks for the season. Thanks, California, for taking care of me. There's the money that I'm going to get, which is a fat amount of money versus the amount of money he's getting while he's playing in California. You can say, all right, I'm out. Move to a different state. And now
That's right.
Completely.
That's correct. If he moves to a different state, he moves to Texas.
100%.
Zero income tax.
Bro, and being able to play at that level and being able to be an athlete at that point where people are literally willing to pay you hundreds of millions of dollars, you would assume that you take care of yourself. You would assume that you are consistently, from my understanding, like LeBron, this guy's doing cryotherapy on a daily basis, massage therapy, he's training, He's doing every single potential rehab thing that you probably do in a month. Man probably does it in a day.
Right. Right.
to keep going? Because I think you said that his vision is to be able to play with his son one day in the
LeBron?
in the league.
For sure.
So if you see the top collegiate athlete or the top athletes in the NBA, MLB, any any of the pros, the ones who are performing and getting paid a lot of money, those are the people who are investing so much more time into their health. Versus, did you hear Stephen Smith go off on Zion Williamson not taking care of himself?
Let's talk about it.
Hey, Johnny, we can pull up that video of your body will serve you if you treat it correctly.
He's fat en route while LeBron James had dropped 30 in 3 quarters and had completely dominated and looked in peak physical condition and looked like an absolute stud and superstar and marquee. Zion Williamson, who's more than 15 years younger but 40 pounds heavier, went to the free throw line. Ladies and gentlemen, I saw a belly. I mean, damn. What's up, Zion? You better not got your ass kicked, losing by 44 points in a playing semifinal. Did nothing to lead and galvanize your team. Did nothing to show the man-child that you are and to take over. But you look like you showed up to the game having just ate a buffet. Like you ate the damn table. He looked like he ate the buffet. I saw him literally inhale, take a deep breath at the free throw line, and I saw a belly. Like Austin Powers, fat bastard, like, get in my belly. That's what I saw.
Well, here's the thing, man. Bottom line, money changes people. Money's going to expose you. Money is going to change your habits and behaviors if all your outcome was money. So if Zion's outcome was to make a lot of money, great, check, you made it. But if he wants to be a great player, LeBron wants to be a great player because he invested in his health. All the winners that became top performers, they watched their health. Zion Williamson, in addition to that, while he was eating and recovering, not only is his wife pregnant, but they got this porn star side chick pregnant too as well. So when you're looking at this scenario, again, money will change you. If you're not grounded on what you believe and what you're about, one of the blind spots that a lot of people have when they start making money, start making progress, when you're on your journey from 50,000 a year, 100,000 a year, 500,000 to $1 million, $2 million, whatever that journey is, one of the blind spots is idle time. Because the same struggle that you had at $50,000, $100,000 a year is no longer struggle at $1 million, $2 million a year. You will have idle time. If that idle time is not fixed with another next, that's a blind spot that you can get caught up in. And obviously this kid, sadly, is that he was the #1 overall pick. Jumping out of his shoes in college. Literally jumps out of his shoes. Signs a massive shoe contract. Can't even get on the court. Injured. Looking to be a bust. Guys spent a lot of, I'm in a baseball card community. Guys spent like $500,000 buying his rookie card. He's about to be the next big thing. He was like a generational talent. I mean, everybody saw this kid in high school. People couldn't believe this kid. 6'9", 260, flying out the gym, 40-plus inch vertical, rim rocking. And guess what happened? One thing, got changed with money.
If you were in this position, what are 3 things that you would make sure on a daily basis, weekly, monthly basis that you would not lose on when far as routine, accountability wise? What would you do to keep yourself accountable in 3 different things?
So number one, you got to figure out clearly what is it that you want. What is it that you want? You want to be great, or you want to be good? Or you want to be average? You want to check in, check out. Does the team worthy paying me when I'm getting paid to be on this team? And on top of that, if you're not clear about what you want, if you're not clear about that, sometimes people are very clear who your enemy is. Like somebody pissed you off enough that you got to prove them wrong for the rest of their life, or somebody overlooked you. Whatever that, either you clear what you want, or you have an enemy, you got to prove them right and figure out because if you don't prove them right, guess who's right? Them. If you don't prove them wrong, guess who's right? They are right for the rest of their life. And that way that comment they said to you, that will stay in force. Number 2, you got to figure out also who you have around you. Do you have people, yes men around you, or do you have people that are just willing to hold you accountable? And number 3 is, if you're putting yourself in a position of clarity, you put yourself around in terms of, are you clear about the people that you have around you? You got to have a routine over and over, because this is only a short period of your life. 20 to 25, 25, 30, short period of your life where you can make life-changing, generational-changing money. If you don't honor that, and if you don't appreciate that, man, when much is given, much is expected, and it'll be gone. It's going to be given to somebody else. These NBA teams, they'll fire you, they'll move on. And whatever you thought was about to be your future is no longer in front of you. Somebody's going to snatch and take it away from you.
So do you think it's smart to have a plan? Because I know a lot of people say, hey, once you start walking down a path of business entrepreneurship.
Here's a problem.
burn all the bridges.
It's hard for him to have a plan B. You know why? Because people are going to remember him how he treated his opportunity. He's going to be a very quick has-been. Where's Jamarcus Russell? What's Jamarcus Russell doing today? What's all these players who had all the drama? People can't trust you because when they gave you an opportunity, based on your hard work and effort, the world was at your feet. And then when you took that opportunity, what did you do with it? You squandered it. So people can't trust you, plan B. Watch out what happens when this guy gets out of the league. He's going to be starting from scratch. He's going to be selling cars at Enterprise. He's going to be a Taco Bell manager. Watch. You think I'm like, we're in Dallas. We see all sorts of former players around here that didn't take advantage of the platform when they're on it. And now they're sadly, they're looking for other things to do and to make money because their lifestyle is up here, but now their income's down here. You got some tough choices to make. One last thing I want to cover before we let you guys go is inflation. Can we look at my screen one more time, Jordan? So if you look at inflation, where is that today? It's crazy to see where consumer inflation slows to 3.1. It was at 9% a year ago. Now they're saying it's down to 3.1 based on the CPI index. Shelly, let me ask this question: is gas for you cheaper than it was last year?
No.
Food cheaper today than it was last year?
No.
When you go to personal care products, are they cheaper this year than they were last year?
Absolutely not.
So what they're trying to say is, the facts is this, but the reality is, no, it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So people say, well, why doesn't it go down? Why doesn't it go down? Some economists argue that they don't want prices to go down because if prices go down, guess what also has to go down? Wages. So here's a chart, the difference between inflation rate and wage growth. So the blue line is inflation. Excuse me, is wages. The black line is inflation. So you see here, if inflation goes up, guess what tends to follow it? Wages. Okay. Now, if inflation goes down, what's also following it? Wages. So economists are arguing right now. So if you want things to go down, guess what you also have to expect to go down? Your wages. So do people want that? So here's the thing, though. Do you want to make money from wages? Or do we want to make money from capital gains and dividends? So, Shel, we often argue, how much salary do you think Elon Musk makes? He has $3 billion companies: SpaceX, Tesla, Solar City.
Oh my goodness.
What do you think his salary is on one company? What's his salary on Twitter or on X? He's a multi billionaire. One company is $1 trillion.
Like,
what do you think his salary is?
a year, probably in the trillions.
No longer sure.
Salary? It's funny.
Yeah.
If you punch up Elon Musk's salary, he makes salary-wise, makes $80,000 a year in salary.
Oh.
But his compensation in terms of capital gains and dividends is over his total realized compensation in 2020 was $734,762,000. Okay, but a majority of that in terms of the comparison to him and employees. But his compensation, though, majority of that is taxed at a much lower rate. So, for example, Ohtani, the baseball player we just mentioned, he's taxed at the highest rate because he's paid as an employee. But if you're an entrepreneur, you can get paid in capital gains and dividends, and it's taxed at a much lower rate. Maximum is 20%. So you can make millions of dollars a year, but the max tax is 20%. If you make millions of dollars a year, you're taxed at 49, almost 50% in some states. So where would you rather be taxed at? Would you be taxed at 20%? Or would you rather be taxed at 49%? 20%. So you make your money through capital gains and dividends. That's how Elon Musk makes his money, not through salary, but through capital gains and dividends. So he can say, listen, pay me zero salary, but if I perform, pay me dividends and capital gains, and that's how these guys are making money. But that's not for the average person, though. The average person makes wages. So the way everybody on the show is thinking, the way you're thinking is, okay, I can be an employee, but I can be an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur, I make money on capital gains and dividends through my own company. So when you're looking at this, guys, sadly, I don't think that inflation is going to go down anytime soon. I don't think inflation is going to drop where you see a significant savings in rent. You see a significant savings in the cost of cars, significant savings in the cost of electricity, et cetera, et cetera. Expect things to be right around where it's at right now. The challenge for you going to 2024 and the years thereafter is how are you going to be making more money? Do you want to make money as a salaried wages employee, or do you want to make money as an entrepreneur? If you're even a part-time entrepreneur and a full-time employee, you can make a combination of both as you transition to a full-time entrepreneurship. That's why this channel here is always our show is about to always push you to make more money as an entrepreneur. Because like Shelly's here, she's making her money by providing value in the community. So not just taking a salary from a job. So any final thoughts here before we let you guys go? Shelly, thank you so much for being here. Any final thoughts?
Just thank you for having me. And I would like to say just if you're like me and you come from a background of not really having like money and finances and taxes, those conversations around you, sit at a table like I'm at right now. So,
Boom.
You can learn those things and receive the help so that way you can set your life up the best that it can be. So
And about relationships too as well.
yeah.
We'll figure out different perspectives. We're like the people that the brothers and uncles people didn't think they needed to have. I guess some of the comments we get in return.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on your end, brother?
Keep growing, keep investing into yourself. And as Matt always consistently says, the people you meet, books that you read, and the events that you attend is what's going to help you keep growing and keep elevating yourself and your life and your finances and everything that you're trying to do. So keep tapping in, and we're here to serve you as much as we possibly can, and hopefully add as much value as we possibly can, so that way you can keep progressing in your life for sure, man.
Yep. And by the way, I believe next Wednesday we're gonna have a book tour signing here in Dallas. So if you guys are looking for the book, copy of my book, Gotcha, right here. It's an Amazon bestseller for the last 3 weeks.
This one? Right
Yep,
there.
on 3 different categories. So I believe here in Dallas we're gonna have a book signing. I'll have another book signing in Little Rock, Arkansas, in the beginning of January. So we're going on a book tour. If you'd like for me to come to your city and state, send us a message. Hey, man, have a book signing at a company, have a book signing at our book club group, have a book signing at a cigar club. Listen, I'd be open to do it because we talk about money, we talk about cigars, we talk about some of the best things that life has to offer. So that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit subscribe, hit like, drop your comments below. You agree with us, you don't agree with us, please. We'd like to know. We might use it in a future episode coming forward. That being said, from Dallas, Texas, we have our show here. Till we meet again. Continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.